Well, I figured if I hadn't drain poured mine, I'd still have the same one. It wasn't bad. I just didn't love it. Nowadays, it's like,
Don't
what's
waste
the
it every
point of,
time.
yeah.
Right. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News. We are a podcast that discusses comic books, movies, TV shows, and beer. And today we have a special episode. As you know, I've been watching Supernatural for the very first time. So we're going to go ahead and talk about season 2 Supernatural. I wrapped it up. We'll start from where we picked up last time. So we're going to start with episode 11, finish off season 2. And if you want to find us, go ahead on any social media platform, Hops Geek News. That's where you can find and connect with us. And then also globalindiegroup.com. You can go ahead and connect with us there. And find our episodes by searching Hops Geek News on all podcasting platforms. Drop us a follow, drop us a review. That's how we can grow. And we are close to getting 300 subscribers on YouTube. So help us out there.
Ooh,
Get
moving
to
on up.
help us. The goal this year is 1,000, and so we're chugging along. Help us get to 1,000 this year. But first things first, let's get to 300. So, like I said, beer of the week. I'm doing Tiny Treat from Treehouse Brewing Company, which Tiny Treat is an American pale ale that goes into the Treat series of pale hoppy beers. Brewed to have a sweet base and hopped generously with juicy American hops, carries a potent notes of orange candy, mango gummies, and tropical fruit bubblegum. It's a 5.4% American pale ale, and it has a lot of that fruity tones that they talk about. It's delicious. Can't talk enough about it. I love Treehouse Brewing out of Massachusetts. They opened up a new spot next to my parents' house. Can't wait to get there. We're both gonna get there this year. Me in the spring. You get to go in the summertime. Good things. So,
It's
what's
true.
the beer that you got?
So you said gummies. That's I've heard that's Jensen's favorite candy, and he eats it on set or in his
Does he
trailer. I don't know
really?
where he eats it, but there you go. So it's supernatural themed. I just cracked this open. It's a Goliath, toppling Goliath beer called Celestial Paradox. So one of the
Ooh.
episodes you watched involved, well, House of the Holy kind of involved angels, didn't actually involve angels, but playing with the whole celestial thing. And there's something else that is relevant to this season that you're not going to find out until season 5
Oh,
as to why this
season
beer.
5. Oh my god.
Ha 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 ha.
That's okay. I'm
Yeah,
into season 3 already, so can't
I'm
complain.
excited. I can tell you what episode, changing channels. So this is a double IPA with Simcoe, Strata, Citra, and Galaxy hops, and it is a collab with Lua Brewing and Sapwood Cellars. It's really good. And what's interesting is it actually smells a bit like marijuana.
Ew, weird. That's cool.
I like it though. It's kind of like it's reminding me of like the Sweetwater 420 G13 strain.
Oh
I
yeah.
love that one. It's not as much like that, but that one, I mean, like the first time I opened that, my husband's like, "Why does it smell like weed in here?" Like that's, and he wasn't even like sitting right next to me.
That's funny. That's good.
But it's really good. I like this one. This is really good.
Solid. Well, those are beers for the week. So we got to do some housekeeping real quick. So last week we were talking about Croatoan. Well, when John, if you want to know a little bit more about Croatoan, we were kind of fuzzy on the details, so we'll provide some clarity for you. When John White appointed Sir Walter Raleigh as governor of Roanoke Colony, returned to England for more supplies in late 1587, he left behind his wife, his daughter, and his infant granddaughter, Virginia Dare, the first child born in the New World to English parents. Among the other settlers, upon White's return in 1590, he found no trace of his family or the other inhabitants of the abandoned colony, but just the word Croatoan on a tree. Croatoan was the name of an island south of Roanoke, now known as Hatteras Island, which at the time was home to a Native American tribe of the same name. Over the centuries to come, archaeologists, historians, and explorers would delve into the mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke, all failing to find definitive answers. So, since this episode has come out, archaeologists have found English settlers' items in the areas where Native American tribes were. They believe that this is evidence that they assimilated with the Native Americans but kept their goods. And through
Or the
the,
Native Americans killed them and kept their goods.
I mean, that's probably what really happened. But hey, you never know. Maybe they did all kind of bond together and cohabitate. But knowing the 1500s, probably the other one. However, through the newly announced discoveries don't solve the lingering historical mystery, they do point away from Roanoke Island itself, where researchers have failed to come up with evidence pointing to the lost colony's fate.
So there was actually a Stephen King story that he said that the people all disappeared because a demon showed up and made them drown themselves. So that's a
Ooh,
theory.
That's
But
it fits. Yeah, that's
our
pretty
two
cool.
other things, and if you're only listening to the supernatural stuff, then you probably don't know on our main episode, we always start with what do we mess up on or what do we look into. The quote I couldn't remember that Dean called Simon's bong was he called it Moby Dick's bong. So I thought that was funny. And then I did look into the Exorcist thing. That was pea soup that was actually used in the movie. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, I thought so. That's awesome. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And then
All
the
right.
guy looked like he did not like pea soup.
Not at all. So let's roll into our episode talk. So we're starting with season 2, episode 11, called Playthings. And this is where
Which we should do a shout out real quick though, because the main woman in this actually passed away this week.
she did. Yes.
So that was Annie Wershing. She passed away of cancer very young. She was born in
45.
1977. She's 45, three kids. A lot of people know her from Star Trek. She was in Runaways. She was one of the
She
voices in The Last of Us.
Yeah, Tess. She
Um,
was Tess's voice actor or
oh, I didn't know she
actress.
was Tess.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Super shitty. So I didn't want to just go through this and not mention that. So I guess, toast to her. She did great in this
Hey,
episode. All right.
cheers. She definitely did. All right,
Take it
Playthings.
away.
Sam and Dean investigate a town where several people have mysteriously died. The trail leads to a young girl who lives at an inn with her mother and whose imaginary friend may be responsible for the deaths. So, the dollhouse was $30,000?
Yes, these are just my fun
Wow.
facts. Yeah.
All right. So they wanted to donate to a hospital. CW said no. Years later, they sold it for a small price to the owner of the house that the house was based on.
So somebody still lives there. At least they did when they did it. So they wanted to give it their, they then tried to like just give it to those people. And I guess CW still made them charge. So it was,
That's
if you're
crazy.
going to have a contract, you got to have consideration. And even if it's just $1. So I heard they did something like that. But
This episode was
yeah.
creepy, man. It had like dolls
Mm.
hanging people, and the ghost girl drowns the little girl. Like, it's pretty dark. And then you have like the vegetable grandma sitting up there just like,
The
all right.
hoodoo.
So like the whole time grandma could have just sacrificed herself and everything would have been fine. Instead, she's just sitting in there
No,
like
she had
as
had a stroke. You know how much power it probably took her to be able to like mentally telepathically connect with her sister? She had had a stroke. She had been keeping her sister at bay for decades with hoodoo to
oh,
protect her
okay. That makes a
daughter
lot of
and her
sense.
granddaughter. And that's also why this imaginary friend just showed up a few weeks ago. But did you see that coming at all?
No, I honestly didn't. I thought like there was just a possessed doll that we were gonna burn and salt, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, they never. The one thing I did find interesting, and I understood why for the story purposes, but like they never tried to salt and burn anything of hers. It was
Got
just
you.
like, well, I guess the ghost is gone. All right, let's go ahead. And
Yeah,
I
they
felt
really
like
try
it
to peace
was
out.
right. So, like, I guess grandma's sacrifice meant something, and she wasn't just the next ghost there.
Well, good.
But a lot of Shining's references in this.
Oh yeah.
Even the guy at they do. I didn't realize how many because I haven't watched Shining in years, and I feel like I should rewatch it because I've been listening to the Then and Now podcast, and I'm learning all these intentional Shining references in that, and googling fun facts for this show.
Yeah. I will say one thing about this is some of this stuff doesn't age well because they're like a king size bed and like, whoa, we're not gay, man. Like,
But I do love when Sam calls him out. And he's like, "Well, you do kind of act like Butch. Maybe they think you're overcompensating."
yeah.
But they
But
did mention that, and then and now too that didn't age well.
yeah, it doesn't, some of that stuff doesn't age well. But yeah, overall, just kind of not forgettable episode. It was enjoyable. I don't have too much other than that to say, but just it was messed up that the ghost was trying to drown the daughter. So that was
She
the
just
most
wanted somebody to
memorable.
play with.
Yeah.
It was her great niece.
Yeah. It was messed up. So, season 2, episode 12, Night Shifter. Sam and Dean investigate robberies in which trusted employees hold up banks, then commit suicide. But autopsy results indicate the actual times of death being several days before the robberies. This was a fun episode. This was
Yeah.
this was a lot of fun because the guy's like laser eyes, and he's the Mandroid reference. Oh, so the Mandroid reference was Doctor Who Cybermen. I guess I didn't catch
You
that
didn't
initially.
see when he's holding the magazine and he points at the magazine. Don't worry, by this point in time, when this episode comes out, I'm going to drop it on our TikTok. I'm putting together a little thing. He pointing at the
Oh.
magazine, and it's actually a Cyberman on the magazine. And
Oh,
it says
see, I didn't catch
Cyberman.
that. Okay, I didn't catch that. And then also there was a real bank vault, which was pretty rad. So, yeah, this was a really fun episode. And then of course, Dean gets kind of caught on camera as they think he's like robbing the bank and killing people now. So that's another charge to the Winchester brothers. How are they going to get out of this one, you pesky kids?
I love the song at the end though.
Oh
I
yeah,
can't
I
the
can't remember what it
oh
was, but it
mama.
was
Yeah.
a vibe. It was jamming,
I
and
think a renegade.
they once again get away somehow. But this was like a fun bank heist episode. I had a lot of fun in this one, and the guy was everybody thought he was nuts, but he's like, "I'm saving you all," and as he's waving his gun at everybody.
But the look of relief when they told him, okay, you're not crazy, Ronald,
Oh yeah.
you're so it was sweet. And it was kind of sad that they did kill him because what a great resource would he have been. And
Hmm.
Dean even said, thank you for doing all this research, Ron. Like, you did a good job.
Yeah, and that's all he
He would have
wanted
been
to
a
hear.
Yeah, he would have been a fun guy in the chair.
Oh, he definitely. I love their assembled guys in the chair, their team, right? Bobby's like my favorite. If Bobby dies, I'm probably gonna riot. So
Hmm.
just know that. And I'm sure he will at some point because everybody's gonna end up dead at some point because this is a comic book, right? Everybody dies and comes back to life in some form or another. So I enjoyed it a lot. Other than not too much else to say other than this was just a fun bank heist and I missed the Doctor Who episode. So rolling into episode 13, House of the Holy. I'm going to be honest, I think I fell asleep during this
Ah.
episode. Uh,
Okay.
so Sam and Dean investigate the murders of several people by individuals who claim they were visited by an angel and carry out God's will. Yeah, I knew at some point I fell asleep and meant to go back and rewatch. I don't think I did.
Okay, so this is the one where the people like it brought them peace. They thought they saw an angel. The angel then commanded them to kill this person because this person was evil. They killed the person, and then that person still felt peace. And then when Sam and Dean were investigating it, they were realizing the people that they were killing were actually bad people. Like one guy had
Oh, I
like
do vaguely remember that. I
okay,
was in and out of sleep on this episode. I do remember, which is kind of a cool twist, right? They're hey, you're killing bad guys. You're kind of doing a good
right,
thing, but also a bad thing.
right. But there is something like in the Bible, you're not supposed to kill people, but you're not supposed to kill innocent people. So there are
Right.
also things in the Bible that say like, oh, if this person does that, like you can kill them. And like this was not innocent blood that was being shed.
Well,
But then you find out it wasn't an angel, it was the pastor
right.
who was gunned down on the steps.
I think that's what I like about this show a lot, though, is the moral conundrums, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that Bible. I mean, there's a lot of biblical things played into it, of course, but the hey, you're killing, which is wrong, but you're not killing innocent people. So you're killing people who deserve justice.
Well, and how are
And
those people any different than Sam and Dean?
exactly, because they're out there killing as well. So like you're looking in a mirror, you're being a hypocrite because you're trying to stop these people from doing what you're doing as well. Right? Like the
Mm,
vampires, for example, who just wanted to live their life. They were going to kill them. And so
right.
yeah, the moral conundrums in this show are fun.
But I did like at the end where it seemed like there still was a higher power at hand
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
when the one guy just ended up dying. So that was kind of cool. And this is one of those episodes when you go back and rewatch it after you watch all 15 seasons. This episode is better after you've watched everything.
Agreed. I definitely agree. I'll have to go
Definitely
back.
agreed.
Definitely agreed. I have
I
no
like
facts to back that up, but I agree.
I like it. I'll take it.
All right. So
Oh, quick fun fact. Dean says, speaking of Zach, the drunken driver killer says, quote, Roma Downey made him do it, end quote. So for 9 seasons, Roma Downey, she was the one who played an angel in Touched by an Angel.
oh,
Um, Dean makes quite a few Touched by an Angel jokes, and you hear them make a lot of jokes that almost seem like they're too young to know these references, but they grew up in hotels. So they grew up watching these reruns and whatever bullshit was on whatever motel
right.
room that they were staying at, they were watching all that crap. So I think that's why he knows some of these things that you wouldn't think. Well, and in season 5, you're going to find out one of his guilty pleasures too. So that's
Got you.
fun.
That makes sense. All right. Well, episode 14, Born Under a Bad Sign. Dean receives a frantic call from Sam, who he finds covered in blood with no recollection of what happened to him. The brothers are then horrified to discover a tape of Sam killing someone. So yeah, this was
So when you text me during Sam just killed someone.
yeah, Sam. So obviously he's possessed, right? He had the seal on him. This was Dean or Sam got possessed. He goes to Joe, finds her, basically like breaks her.
Possessed by Meg from
Yeah,
season
that's right.
1.
That's right. Meg comes back. Meg makes the this time seals to Sam and is
So
really
so
cruel
they
to
can't
Joe.
exorcist him.
Yeah, because they tried to
Yeah.
do that at Bobby's house and they were like, no, no, no. And man, poor Joe. That's all I gotta say is poor Joe was like, Sam started to get real creepy, real rapey, and then he's like, Dean doesn't like you. You're nothing but a sister. And I was like, geesh.
But then Dean was like mad at her because she didn't realize right away he was possessed.
Yeah, I mean, she was supposed to be a hunter. That's why she left to go do some hunting, and she didn't realize he was possessed. Like,
Yeah, her
that's
instincts
valid.
should be better. But
That's
also,
valid.
though, I'm trying to think if you've. Yeah. Okay. So remember, Bobby gives them the charms at the end.
Yes.
Why are they just now getting those? And why did John not
That
have that
was
in season
also my
one?
question is if you think they're these expert hunters, why don't they all carry charms to
I
protect
mean, from
against
here
possession?
on out, they're good. And I'm sure you've even seen the like I have the anti-possession sticker and like multiple people have the tattoos and stuff. So I'm sure you've seen that before, but like why are they I mean, I get for
This
writing
should have
purposes,
been
but
day one. Like,
right, logically it doesn't make sense. Like even well, I'm not going to say anymore. Okay,
you
yeah.
deal with possession for a living. Like, you should have had these charms or some protection. You should have had,
Maybe
like,
because yeah, they weren't like they didn't deal with demons on their own until season one. Because I remember them saying like, I don't know, demons. That's not and that was episode 4,
yeah, but
uh,
still, like, right
Phantom
from
Travel.
then,
But
you should have gotten some charms if that's what you're gonna start doing, right?
yes,
Like, come on,
Bobby's known
man.
them since they were kids. He should have wrapped them in charms then.
Tattooed them or something. I don't know. But Jensen
Tattoo your
improvised
kids.
punching Sam at the end of this episode, which was a fun improvisation by him. But yeah, man, it's obviously we knew right off the bat when Sam killed somebody that he wasn't actually out there. I thought it had to do with the yellow-eyed man. In a way, I guess it kind of
Ah, you thought
does.
he had turned.
But I thought this was the start of him possessing Sam to start the holy war that's going down. So
It's
it
just
wasn't.
hell hath no fury like a demon scorned.
It was just Meg.
It was
Shut
just
up,
Meg.
Meg. So Episode 15, Tall Tales. While investigating a series of violent and unexplained events on a college campus, the Winchester brothers ask Bobby for help. When he arrives, he has some quick suspicions about the potential culprit. They notice the brothers' escalating feud. This is the Trickster episode, man. This is fun.
Yeah.
The Trickster makes an appearance. He was awesome. This is the first time we hear about busty Asian beauties. This is what Dean was looking at when Sam's laptop froze. And if you go to that website, it takes you to a CW page. It's hilarious.
Busty Asian Beauties comes up throughout all the rest of the show. So Dean loves his busty Asian
It's
beauties.
kind of hilarious, right? That they're so open about it. But yeah, no, the Trickster was awesome. He's coming back clearly because he didn't actually die at the end of the episode. And I thought it was a trip when he got the guy the guy got taken up by aliens, and next he's telling the story and he's like, what happened? And they're like, prom dancing with an alien. I was like, what?
Lady so the person in the costume was Tyler, the little girl from Playthings.
That's
So,
hilarious.
yeah, this was the first time I feel like you really saw the show go to an extreme, like what the fuck is going on.
That was
So
the
I feel
first
like
time.
this,
Yeah, you were
yeah.
like, what? We got slow dancing aliens now? What are we doing?
I mean, you get some silly lines and a lot of fun references before this, but this is the first one that they
Yeah,
went full out.
I
But
had a lot of fun.
yeah,
I loved
you
this
definitely,
episode.
yeah, this actor definitely comes back.
This was probably my favorite episode of the season so far, to be honest with you, was the
Oh, then you're
Trickster.
then you're in for a
I
treat.
love I love a good prankster, man, a good trickster. I love it. So moving on to episode 16, Roadkill. Molly, a frightened young woman, runs into the road in front of the brothers' car. She tells them that her husband went missing after the car they were in nearly ran over a farmer on the road. While investigating the case, the brothers discover that the farmer may in fact be a spirit, and Molly may be his next victim. Well, fun fact, Molly is also Lucifer's mom on the show Lucifer.
What?
And
What'd you think of
also
this one? I love the twist in this.
is
Don't tell me you fell asleep in this one.
I fell asleep.
Oh no. So you don't know who Molly really is?
No, I don't.
Matthew.
I, I,
Ugh,
I've meant to go back and watch these, but I just haven't had time.
you're
And
as bad as my husband.
I was awake for some of it, so I remember like the whole thing, but I fell asleep like halfway through the episode, so I don't
Oh,
know who
do you want me to
Molly.
ruin it? I'm part of me wants to ruin it, and
Just
part of me
ruin it.
wants to
Go
tell
ahead and
you to
ruin it.
go back and watch. So what's the last thing you remember?
I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you what the last thing I remember
Okay,
is.
do you remember Greeley chasing Molly and
Vaguely.
wanting to kill Molly and saying she's mine when Molly was in the car?
Yes.
you know what's happened is the last few years, like multiple people have seen a woman running away from a man, and like some people have died in a car accident trying to avoid her.
She was the bad guy?
Molly died the night she killed Greeley driving. And so every year on the
Oh.
anniversary, Greeley hunts Molly and tortures Molly, but Molly's husband is still alive.
Oh, see, I knew there was a scene where the husband and her were together at a point. That's why I was confused.
That's at the very beginning. They're in the car together.
That's right. That's
But
right.
when they got into the
Oh.
accident, she died and he didn't. But what was interesting is she wasn't a mean ghost. She didn't know she was a ghost. She didn't know she was dead. So that was the big reveal. And then when at the end of the episode they go back and they show all these scenes where like when they almost hit her, they're like, I don't think she knows she's dead, is what they're saying to each other. And then she's like feeling bad for Greeley and everything. And then at the very end, they take her to her husband and they're like, you can go in there, but you're going to freak the crap out of him, or you can let go. And it's the first time we see a ghost look like they're transcending to heaven rather than,
I did see that. She walked outside and she went, "Pew."
yeah.
Yeah, see, okay, I do remember that. Oh, it all comes together. Yeah, wow. Okay,
I
that's a
loved
fun
this
one.
one. And I
That's a
think
fun twist.
it's such a fun twist. And what they do good about in Supernatural too is, most of the time, obviously, the boys are the main character, but there's so many episodes where they're not. And this is one of them. Like Molly was the main
I
character.
like the episodes where they're not because it kind
Yeah.
of helps them. I think you need that once in a while.
Yeah. Especially when there's only two main characters right
For
now.
sure. That's awesome. Okay. All right. Well,
It was like,
in
I feel like that
episode
one's a bit underrated.
it definitely would be. I'm gonna have to go back and definitely watch that one then. So, episode 17 is Heart. Sam and Dean investigate a savage attack. Suspecting that a werewolf was responsible, the brothers protect a legal secretary who could be the creature's next victim. And so, in this episode, the alias is Detective Dante and Detective Landis. Joe Dante directed The Howling in 1981, and John Landis directed An American Werewolf in London in 1981.
Some little werewolf nods.
Yeah, that was fun. This episode was cool. It was,
It's sad.
yeah, it was just kind of like, all right. I didn't feel anything really towards it other than like, oh, fun episode. I like the nods to it.
Yeah, I mean this one. I know some people. This one's like a punch to the gut because Sam has to kill her. But
Right.
but I did not see her. That was I feel like that's what Supernatural does so great, are these twists. Like I didn't
Hmm.
think that she would be a werewolf.
Yeah, I had no idea, and then he comes down to him having to kill her, and
Yeah,
yeah, it was tough. So this one was just kind of there for me.
she got cast because they liked her in not Supernatural, in Smallville.
Hmm,
She was
interesting.
engaged to Lex. I think she
Interesting.
married Lex. She married Lex.
I like this next episode though. Episode 18,
Yeah.
Hollywood Babylon, when Sam and Dean are called to a movie set to investigate a number of murders. They try to discover whether ghosts are responsible or whether the deaths are part of an elaborate hoax.
It was both. So I'll do some fun facts while you're sneezing. So the studio guy asking them to make it lighter and more colorful, CW was actually doing that to Supernatural. So this was the most, I think this was probably the first meta type episode we got in the show. And so obviously you're going to have more meta ones, but this one was definitely in that genre.
Yeah, it was.
So when Dean tells Tara she was great in Boogeyman, she, was like, "Oh, thank you. It was a horrible script." Kripke is actually the one who wrote the script to Boogeyman in 2005.
They just have a remake coming out now.
Oh, did not know that.
I don't, or maybe it's a different Boogeyman, but yeah, there's a movie, The Boogeyman, coming out. It looks pretty
Hmm.
good. Just saying.
So at one point, Dean makes a comment. I love there's a great Die Hard reference in this too. There's this whole episode was fun, but when they're like, "Oh, we're in LA," and Sam makes a comment like, "Oh, it's practically Canadian weather." It's because they're actually in Canada.
Ooh.
And then the Hellhazzers 2 trailer was actually full of different supernatural clips.
I okay, I kind of figured that one, but I like this episode a lot because I like Dean catering. He was just like, "Have you had these? These are freaking great!" And he's just stuffing his face off to the side. I like the cheesy screams. Right, she had to perfect her scream. All the cheesy background stuff that goes into making cheesy horror movies. And no, this episode overall was fun. I enjoyed it. It was like a fun take your mind off of heaviness of life and just watch them investigate a bogus, not like a bogus, but a haunting, if you will.
Well, at
And
first it did seem bogus. Yeah.
it did, yes, but it turned into something more. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So that's all I have
And
to
a
say
lot of
about that one.
fun cameos. Like the one guy's from the '70s show.
Mhm.
The douchey guy was the guy who plays Mr. Brady in the movies.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you had some fun. And you text me that Gilmore Girls Easter egg.
Yes, they talk. There's a scene where they're talking about, he's driving, and like if you were on the set of Gilmore Girls, and if you look, you might actually see one of the stars. Well, Sam was in
Zoom in
Gilmore
on Sam.
Girls. Yeah,
And
Sam
his
was in
name
Gilmore
was
Girls. So
Dean.
yes, so that's what that is. My wife was going nuts about that one. She's like, "Did Lauren know that one?" And then it was like, "Because we thought we had you. Because I had you for a couple. I had you on a couple of them this year,
Oh yeah, you had me
this
on all the
season.
letter Kenny
But
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, so going into episode 19, Folsom Prison Blues. Sam and Dee allow themselves to be arrested in order to investigate a series of murders inside a penitentiary. However, things get complicated when FBI agent Henriksen shows up to take over their case. So Tiny is actually their bodyguard in real life.
Yeah.
Oh, no
And
kidding.
what's funny too is there was clips going around recently. I think he got married, and they both spoke at the wedding, and they were both jackasses at the wedding. So Sam's speech, he quoted Joey from Friends, and then Dean's speech, he quoted Princess Bride, marriage, and he did that speech.
That's funny.
I believe that was the one, but yeah, he's I believe still their bodyguard.
That's cool. Well, poor Tiny, man. Like he was just like, oh, I am. My dad did this when I was a kid, and then he gets killed. But this episode, I was like, Henriksen was just out here, out for blood. He's like, I don't know how they do it. And
Oh,
then
he's such a dick to that
he
lawyer.
was, their lawyer was like,
I like that she fucked him in the end.
I did like that twist. So that twist, I kind of had a feeling it was going to happen, but she told him the wrong sentence. So they finally figured out. It turns out they're doing a favor to one of the guards, which I didn't know the guard was who they were doing the favor for at first
Mm-hmm.
until that twist. So I was like, oh wow, okay. And in this prison, people are having heart attacks and dying. It's because of a ghost of an old nurse who wanted to kill people who did wrong. So she comes after Dean, of course, because Dean's getting in all the fights. And then they figure out who she is finally and escape, just casually walk out to go salt and burn her bones. The lawyer believes that they're actually doing good and gives Henriksen the wrong cemetery. And also the cop who helped them, who was their friend the whole time, he's about to get killed because he let them out. So she sees that he did bad and is saved. So this was a fun episode. Once again, I'm like, they're in jail. How are they getting out of this one? I keep telling you. They're teasing
Well,
me.
this one though, because the girl, she's like the lawyer, she's like, there's very conflicting evidence. I don't think this is black and white. And I don't know that she would have been so quick to tell Henriksen the wrong graveyard if he hadn't been such a dick to
Oh,
her.
that too. I mean, he clearly, if he was a little nicer, she probably would have gave him up a little easier.
Yeah, he's
But
like misogynistic in this, like, oh, let the grown-ups kind of talk kind of thing. And I'm just like, as a female attorney, I feel like,
I've been
ugh.
chasing these guys all over the map, and you come up because you had a motion detector. Blah blah
And
blah
like,
blah
why
blah
are
blah.
you
Blah.
talking down to her like she's an idiot? Like, what, because
Yeah,
she's a defense attorney? Like, ugh, damn you, Henriksen.
stupid, stupid. So, episode 20: What is and what should never be. I like this episode too. So Dean is attacked by a djinn and finds himself in a new reality where his mother is still alive and a mysterious woman holds the key to everything. This title is actually named after a Zeppelin song. And I did like this episode a lot because you kind of get to see that perfect life that Dean has always wanted. So he has the perfect girl. Although his relationship with Sam doesn't exist for various reasons. Their mom's still
Mm.
alive. Dad died of a stroke. And
Which he's like, he was happy
he's like,
about. And
thank
she's like,
God. She's like,
what?
what? Yeah.
But
So,
that was, because at this point,
well,
he thinks he knows where dad is. So
it's,
obviously dad
yeah.
dying of a stroke is
And
ideal.
he didn't realize. So it turns out that what feels like a lifetime in there obviously isn't a lifetime. It's just days in real life because he's sucking and eating the blood of his victims. But he starts to see that girl's ghost pop up. And turns out she's another victim whom they save. So
Well, when he starts
Sam,
seeing the articles of all the people he didn't save, I think was the turning point.
so yeah, I thought it was cool that Sam, or they were all basically like, this is the perfect life for you, Dean, and he ends up killing himself to give up that perfect life because I
To
mean,
save
clearly, yeah.
others.
And it was a heavy episode. I like this one a lot too. I really, really, really liked it. So moving into season 2, episode 21, All Hell Breaks Loose, part 1. This is part 1
Dun,
of
dun,
the
dun.
finale. Sam and all of the other like Ava, and it turns out Hawkman from Black Adam's also in this, and then we get Andy again. They all get pulled into this
It's
realm.
great when you text me. Hawkman's in this. Yes, go back and listen to our Black Adam episode. I definitely mentioned that.
I definitely zoned out on that. So
No, it's okay. No, I'm glad you did because all this is I didn't spoil anything apparently,
that's
even though
right.
I've been spoiling shit for 2 years.
That's right. The girl who played Ava was in Friday the 13th or Freddy versus Jason. She dies in the cornfield. And Sierra Gamble's inspiration for the episode was actually the Breakfast Club. And Little Girl Legend came from the same legend the ring was created from. So let's go
That little
into
girl is like, ah.
we'll talk about
So
both
yeah.
episodes. So All Hell Breaks Loose
Yeah.
Part 1 and 2. These are the finales. And this is basically the yellow-eyed man putting forth his plan. He got them all together, but then Ava had been there a while. She turns and
She
kills.
turned dark side.
She killed Andy, man. I was so sad. I was like, Andy, I hope he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't die. So right after that, he
I
gets
know. When
his
you tell you
blood
can't
sucked
text me
right
things
out.
like that. I'm like, well,
But
that's gonna suck for Matt. When you're
sucked
like, I hope they
right
don't kill
out.
Andy.
But it comes to, so in the end, Dean sacrifices, he gives himself 1 year to live to bring Sam back to life because Hawkman stabs Dean or Sam, kills him, but nobody ever dies. And so he makes a deal. Hey, I'll go with you in 1 year if you bring my brother back to life. And so that's going to be very interesting how that plays out. How's
Mm-hmm.
this the year timer? It's coming due at some point. How is this going to play out? I don't know. I guess we'll have to see.
So in next season, the short season, because that was the writer's strike. Remember the writer's strike in the mid to late
Oh
2000s?
man, that's what killed
So I
Heroes. Yeah,
believe it's, oh God, Heroes. Ugh, I don't even like talking about the show.
I don't either,
I
but
believe there's only 16 episodes next
okay.
season.
Well, shoot. All right. So, fun
I think
fact about this
just
though, but
closer
with an
to
average
Lazarus Strike.
viewership of 3.14 million per episode, Supernatural was on the verge of cancellation before the CW decided to grant it a third season. And the fact that the show was selling well on DVD was one of the deciding factors. So we almost never got season 3 and beyond because I guess it wasn't doing well enough. But the CW lets shows survive for a while, and I think the fact that they let shows survive for a while now is due to Supernatural having that revival and catching on like it did. To be honest with you,
Yeah, because it got a cult following. Well, I've heard before, like they were on the cutting board like every year. And you'll see they end up making fun of that in the show a little bit. But
right?
it's so funny, like right now, like the show's been over now for 2 years, and you, my mom, and my husband are all watching it for the first time. And
Yeah,
it's so funny that all of these people are getting into it after the fact. And
it
so I think
is.
it's well, now you got the Winchesters and everything. So I don't
It's
think this
still
is a
on.
show
Yeah,
that's or a
it's not
universe
gonna
that's
die.
going anywhere.
No,
When I heard somebody refer to something as the Kripke universe, because they were talking about the boys and the characters connected, and I'm like, oh, everything's a universe now.
that's true. That's true. I'm sure they'll have spin-offs too, but yeah, no, overall, season 2, thought it was good. Way to continue on. Things are gonna come to a head here soon, and the yellow-eyed man's not going anywhere. They haven't defeated him yet. Dean's got a year to
You
live.
you did get a more info on the yellow-eyed man in the season finale.
You
Mary
did.
knows who he is,
Yes.
so you didn't know that before.
Yes. So you're
So
kind
I
of,
remember watching that and being like, "What the fuck? She knows him."
she knows him, and it's interesting to see where it goes. So I'm excited to start season 3. Can't wait to talk about some more. I've really been enjoying this. Follow along on TikTok as we hop on, do a lot of fun things there. That's where we do a lot of supernatural stuff. YouTube as well. We do these weekly, so you're gonna get supernatural bonus episodes weekly. Make sure to subscribe, drop a review, all that good stuff. Share with a friend, help us grow, and let us know your thoughts on supernatural. We love to hear them. We love to see it. And this is my adventure through. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see y'all next week.